Hello and welcome to the Beef Edge, the Teagasc Beef Podcast, for all your latest news, information and advice for Irish beef farmers. I'm Catherine Egan, and on this week's episode, I wanted to find out more about Gurteen Agricultural College, their farm system, and hear what they have to offer students. I'm joined by Gurteen Beef Lecturer Peter Grogan and Drystock Farm Manager Gerard Carey. First, ask Farm Manager Gerard what systems are operated at Gurteen College.
We run a suckler and sheep, calf to beef enterprise here in the college. We rear the dairy calves, the bull calves to beef, and we also run a dairy contract business for the college, the dairy college part of it. So there's about 67 Frisian heifer calves and the same year and a half, which in the next week or so they'll be going back to the dairy in calf. So it's a suckler and sheep. Really, that's the end I look after, and we bring most of the calves. We actually sell some of the calves, the spring-born calves, to the mart. The 10 of the best wheeling calves that went there only 2 weeks ago, and we have our autumn-born bull calves fattening in the sheds here at the moment. So. We also have the cows calved. The autumn ones are finished, and we are starting to run the bull again, maybe in the next week or so, for 8 weeks. And the cows are housed. We have the cows housed at the moment. The cows and the calves just came in last Thursday. And we had to bring in the dry cows in on Friday because of the rain. So at the moment, what's housed, we've all the beef bullocks in. We've 80 of them. And the beef heifers are in as well. And the suckler cows are housed. And we have about 160 wheeling still out, just grazing off whatever grass is left. We also have 8 acres of fodder rape, or it's actually kale, that we sowed there in July, and we have 25 heifers on that. They're autumn born, some autumn and spring born out of the suckler herd, so they're just started grazing that this week.
You mentioned the sheep have an important role with the beef enterprise. What benefits do you see to having a mixed enterprise with the beef and sheep?
Well, I suppose it shows the style of farming. It's a suckler and sheep. We run the sheep with the beef cattle and the autumn-born sucklers over in our out farm, or trench farm as we call it, and they have a great benefit together. They can graze out paddocks cleaner, and they complement one another. And of course, you know, in the slack times when we're not selling any animals, because all of our steers will be sold by maybe April, or early lambs. We've early lambs and late lambs, so we start lambing here in January, and we also lamb again in March. So the January lambs will be coming on stream there in April and May and June, and it just gives a little extra boost to the income that comes from the dry stock end of things. And once the mid-season lambs come in and streamed in June, July, and August, so it gives another push on there to have an extra income coming in there, and it brings you then into maybe some of the 20-month-old heifers then starting to be killed off of grass come September and October. So there's a cash flow running there from the dry stock end of things.
Most definitely. You mentioned you're well integrated with the dairy herd. How does the contract rearing work within Gurteen?
It's working well. It's working well. So we take the heifer calves from the dairy guys at maybe 12 weeks of age when they're weaned off their milk, and at that stage, because it's a spring calving herd, so their calves are nearly straight out the grass. Then at that stage, we try and get the calves out there in April, and we also run the in-calf heifers or the be maiden heifers at that stage in the springtime of the year, and yes, it runs quite well. And again, it's an extra income for our end of the things, and it shows students the benefits maybe of having little enterprises like that going and for suckler and sheepmen.
And you're also sourcing the replacement heifers for the beef herd from the dairy herd. How does that work?
we're very lucky to have a good herd of cows, a good herd of Frisian cows here. So our dairy herdsman will pick his cows that are, I suppose, not be more British Frisian type cows and cows that probably with smaller yields. He'd put a limousine bull on them, an easy calving limousine bull, a good terminal sire on them, and we'll get our replacement heifers from that. So they're black limousine heifers, majority of them.
And you're picking the bulls that are put onto these cows?
We're picking the bulls, exactly.
You just mentioned that the breeding season is around the corner for the autumn herd. What's the plan?
Right, so the plan, actually, we're here on Wednesday morning with our vet out, and we pre-scanned all the cows just to make sure that they're all sound cycling-wise. And luckily enough, we got them out because we had 6 cows that were cystic. And so he's put coils in them, and they're on a program now with Receptol, and hopefully Saturday week we'll actually fix them. So we might fix AI them cows. So we'll start AI maybe next Friday. So they're going. I have the tail paint put on the cows there as well, and we clip their tails and having them clean. And hopefully now that they'll come in and cycle in well, and I'll actually run a Charlie Bull with them. We have actually 2 Charlie Bulls. We bought a new Charlie Bull only a few weeks ago, and we still have the old Charlie Bull that's there, but he's getting quite heavy. He's a big bull, so we have a young guy just to have a backup.
And how long will you AI for?
We won't AI. Maybe that's the only AI we'll actually do. Maybe is just do those 6 cows, but we will leave the bull in for 8 weeks. So if I put him in now about the 12th or 15th of November, he'll definitely come out by the 5th or the 10th of January. So 7 or 8 weeks.
And what's the plan in relation to the spring herd? Scanning has taken place on that herd.
So the spring herd, we just housed them last Friday, this day week. And so they're in now, and they're under straw, under silage, and we'll put them on maybe next month we'll put them on a pre-calving minnow with the straw and the silage. And they're due now the 1st of February or somewhere around there. And they're settling in grand now.
And how did the spring scanning go for those? Spring
scanning went very, very well for us. We actually had 1 cow empty out of the 43 that went to the bull, and she's gone off with herself. She was in good old nick, and we let her off to the factory here back 2 weeks ago.
That was great going.
It's good, yeah, exactly. We were very, very happy with that. Doesn't always work that way.
You mentioned they're stocking, finishing at the moment. What's the plan for finishing stocking the sheds at the moment?
Right, okay, so the bullocks, the steers are in, and some of the heifers. So they're in now, and by 1st of February we hope that the first of the bullocks will be fattened and going on. So we're on the moment they're on meal. I think they're on 5. So they're on 5 kgs of meal, and we started on fodder beef. We actually grow some fodder beef here as well. And they're on fodder beef and silage and a small bit of straw.
There's a lot of stock housed at the moment that are on different finishing programs. What's the plan for each group?
Yes, so we'll talk about the bull beef. So we have 12 of them at the moment, and they came in September as yearlings, and their weight they came in as was 550 kgs. And hopefully by the 1st of January, once they hit the 16 months, they will be going as according to age. So currently they're on 10 kgs of concentrate, 10 kgs of silage, 5 kgs of fodder beef, and a 0.5 of a kg of straw. And that will be it'll be at lib meal by mid-November. And providing 70 days then at lib, it'll be about 70 days again they're slaughtered. So the last time they were weighed actually was the 16th of October, and the weight's 625 kgs. So their average daily weight gain is 1.6 kgs.
That's excellent. What targets will you plan to have them killed at?
Oh God, would it be nice to have? It'd be nice to have them at 420 plus. So to get them up there at them weights.
And in relation to the finishing heifers?
The heifers are on the same thing as the bullocks at the moment. So they're on 25 kgs of silage at the moment, and 4 kgs of meal and 5 kgs of beet, and they're on a 0.5 kg of straw. And the beet will be gradually increased up to 15 kgs, and continue to monitor that as it goes forward.
And the heifers that's out on kale at the moment, how will they be managed?
At the moment, we started in there on Tuesday, and thank God we're after getting 3 or 4 fine days now to let them settle in on that. So they're getting a bale of silage, and they're getting 1 kg of wheeling ration, and they'll get their strip of kale every day then. Now at the moment now they're just settling in on their new surroundings and one thing and another. So, previous years it works quite well. Because they're only yearlings and stuff, they're going to get their minerals in their meal. I can let out, I probably will put out some buckets with them as well, some selenium buckets and on that. What
is the health plan on the farm in the coming weeks?
We're at the moment now we're clipping their tails and their backs. Actually, we have 3 students held here for the month of October. They're on work experience, and that's their job at the moment is clipping the cattle's backs and their tails and getting them cleaned up. And they'll be dosed maybe in 2 or 3 weeks' time. It'll be a month after they're housed, and we'll also put on some pour on maybe for the lice. But that's a job that will be done with the technicians and the students when they come back to the college, when they come back here. So at the moment, anyway, but the animals themselves, then they were IBR'd and they were bovie-passed coming in they were bovie-passed 3 weeks before they were housed. They had their IBR vaccinations there in July. So they will be also taking some fecal samples, and we'll keep an eye on the worms and the fluke.
Thanks very much, George. That's a great overview of the suckler and beef unit at Gurteen Agricultural College. Next, we're joined by Peter Grogan. Peter is the beef lecturer at Gurteen Agricultural College. Peter, what drystock courses are offered in Gurteen?
Yeah, so Catherine, I suppose any student who I suppose is wishing to complete what's better known, I suppose, as the Green Cert, it's now a 2-year course. So students will complete what's known as a Level 5 certificate in agriculture in year 1, and in year 2 then they will progress on to completing what's known as a Level 6 advanced certificate in either dry stock, dairy or crops and machinery. So in year 2 of the course, the student would specialise in their area they're most interested in. On completion of the 2-year course, then it's equivalent to, as we said, the Green Cert, and that would meet the requirements for stamp duty exemption and qualify those students for the Department of Agriculture schemes such as your TAMS, young farmer schemes, etc. I suppose across the 2 years of the course, Catherine, the students will complete modules in a range of different areas, mainly focusing on animal husbandry, animal nutrition, some farm business related modules, farm safety, food assurance, environmental modules. There's a lot of modules, including grassland machinery, workshop skills, basic farm maintenance, and for our tillage students then they'll be focused on more modules focused on crop husbandry and crop management modules. I suppose a major part of the course then would be the placement that students would go on. So over their 2-year period on the full-time course, students will complete a total of 24 weeks placement with a host farmer. So 8 weeks of that placement is done in year 1, and then 16 weeks of it is completed in year 2 of their course. I suppose there's a number of options maybe it's important to point out in how the students can complete their Green Cert. One would be the full-time course, which is most common, I suppose, for students who will be just finished school, where they will attend the college Monday to Friday. The only requirement there is that students would have to be over the age of 17 years of age by the following January of the year at the start of the course. And I suppose the course is very much so split 50% theory and 50% practical hands-on learning outside on the college farm. And I suppose the best option or result from that course would be that students have the option to progress on to further education and complete maybe a level 7, a level 8 and even a level 9 degree in agricultural science in some of the surrounding ITs or universities in the country as well. The second option would be to complete that course on a part-time basis where students would have to be over the age of 23 and instead of attending the college on a Monday to Friday, they would attend 2 nights per week. So generally a Monday evening and a Wednesday evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And again, it would be a 2-year course. However, with that option, there would be no progression to further education. And then the last option will be to complete the course as what we know as a distance learning course, where students must previously have held a qualification of a level 6 or greater, so previous level 6 qualification or higher. And they would attend the college 1 day per month, generally one Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. One Friday a month. And again, there would be no progression to further education from that option. So that would be mainly their options, Catherine, in terms of, I suppose, to recap, I suppose it's a 2-year course, first of all completing their level 5 and then specialise in their second year with a level 6 in either dry stock, dairy or crops and machinery.
Students really attending the college experience a lot of Gurteen Farm and get a lot of placement out on other farms. What's happening at Gurteen College now with current COVID restrictions?
Yeah, so look, I suppose no different than a lot of businesses. Like COVID has presented its own challenges to us here in Gurteen as well. But one thing's for sure, we've been very lucky that we've been able to continue with our courses. Even from the very first lockdown last March, we managed to continue with delivering those courses. We went online with those courses, and students got to complete them successfully. And I suppose, with this year, we've started up our new course again in September. And I suppose we were able to be more prepared for we knew what to expect. But our main priority, of course, is to make sure that both students and staff are kept safe. And in doing so, we're complying with some of the HSE guidelines that we have to comply with. So we've put lots of measures in place this year. So we've put up a lot of hand sanitizer dispensers, both inside and outside on the college. We've put in place a one-way system where students when indoors, they only move in one direction. And then we've decided to stagger lunch breaks for different groups as well, so that the number of people in the canteen at any one time will be less, and to make sure that we're maintaining that 2-metre social distance and when students are in the college. Students then have also been put into smaller group sizes this year, so instead of teaching a group size of maybe 15 or 16 students, the group size this year is half of that, so only 7 or 8 students per group size this year. So again, it's to try and make sure that 2-metre social distance is maintained. Also then, I suppose, students are wearing face masks are compulsory this year, but we've adopted online learning. So our theory classes, a lot of them now are online, and then when the students are actually in the college, they're just basically doing their practical skill learning outside on the college farm. Since the most recent level 5 lockdown, students are attend only 2 days a week for the practical learning, and then the other remaining days are online learning from home. So I suppose it's everyone. It's been a challenge, but in fairness to everyone, everyone is doing their part, and the main thing is that courses are to continue.
Peter, students attending the college, what experience can they get on the Gurteen farm?
So Catherine, typically a day on a daily basis for a student attending the college, about half their day would be indoors in theory or lecture classes, and then the other half of their day will be outside gaining practical hands-on learning on the farm. So students would have the opportunity to gain experience, particularly working with animals. So gain experience of calving cows or laminios, tagging, dehorning, castrating, dosing animals, injecting. There's a whole list of skills, but there would be just some of the more common or more familiar skills. And then in other areas such as farm maintenance, so students will be shown how to do the correct procedure for fencing, plumbing, so connecting up water troughs and drinkers, setting up foundations and laying blocks. And then the other area would be mainly focused on machinery operations. So students would gain a lot of experience there around tractor driving, tractor maintenance, so how to service a tractor and identify what maybe could be wrong with a tractor, and then operating machinery, so diet feeders, loader operations, slurry spreaders, tillage equipment. So our tillage students will get a lot of experience around ploughing, tilling, sowing, and looking after those crops right through until harvest time.
For students that may be interested in attending a course at Gurteen, you mentioned between the full-time course, part-time course, a distant course, there's a lot of options available. What should students do?
I suppose, in terms of if any student is interested in any of the courses that we have on offer, unfortunately this year we haven't been able to host our usual open days that we would hold. But I'd recommend anyone to still get in contact with the college, and if they do want to see our facilities, that could still be arranged on an individual basis. As I say, we're open for business. We're centrally located. We have great facilities, and with students attending from right across the country, and with accommodation to offer. So it is, there's a lot to be. It's a very interesting college with so much hands-on learning across all our enterprises on the college. And I suppose it's important to maybe point out that, I suppose in addition to our beef and sheep enterprise, Gurteen also has a very large-scale commercial dairy enterprise of 220 pedigree Holstein Friesian cows, and our ewe flock of 450 ewes, and also growing 100 acres of tillage. So it's important, if anyone is any way interested, I'd encourage them to get in contact with the college by phone or by visiting our website. And it's also important to remember that, Gurteen is a very good starting point for any student who wants to gain a lot of hands-on practical experience or learning, and that there's also great opportunities and progression routes after Gurteen, so students can progress to completing a level 7 or level 8 degree in agriculture science afterwards if they so wish.
Thanks, Peter, for an overview of the Drystock courses offered at Gurteen Agricultural College. I think the course will offer a practical, technical and financial skills for students running their own farm business.
Thanks, Catherine.
That's all for this week's episode, and my thanks to Gerard and Peter for joining me on the show. You can catch up on all other shows and interviews from the Beef Edge podcast on the Teagasc website at teagasc.ie, or you can listen on Apple and Google podcasts as well as Spotify. Don't forget to rate, review and subscribe so you never miss a show. For all other updates from our beef programme, keep an eye on our Twitter and Facebook pages. Until next time, I'm Catherine Egan, and thanks for listening.